Well, hello there and welcome to the US Open 2025 WTA Power Ranking. I usually do this for Talking Tennis, and this is your form book for the WTA field going into a Grand Slam, the only one of its kind on YouTube. As usual, I'll be doing a top 10 players most likely to win the US Open based on form from the year, but mainly on North American hard courts and a little bit of my opinion in there as well. But first, we're going to do some honourable mentions. There's 5 players to talk about here. Anna Kalinskaya, I'm going to put that there as an honourable mention. Seems to be winning quite a few matches on the North American hard courts. Obviously made the DC final, but she's also picked up a few wins in Canada and also in Cincinnati by reaching the quarterfinals there. So I think that she can make a deep run in New York if she gets a good draw. Another honourable mention I'd like to put out there is Alex Ayala. Let's see how she does. She likes North American hard court. She did well in Miami, and she's coming back from injury. So there's a lot of question marks around her, but she is the kind of player who could do well in New York and usually does. So keep an eye out for her. Amanda Anisimova, I think people will be expecting to be in the top 10, but she's not. She lacks a good history at the US Open. She's not done particularly well there in the past. And also things have gone a bit quiet for her since that Wimbledon run. Obviously, she thumped up a Raducanu in Canada, but that was kind of the highlight. So we'll have to see where that goes. But at the moment, Anisimova is currently lurking in the draw as someone who could be potentially dangerous, but hasn't got much form to prove it. Someone who usually has a lot of form in US hard courts is Jessica Pegula, who also did not make the top 10. She usually performs well in Flushing Meadows. She might be fired up after the mixed doubles, but there's a lot of might be, could be with Jessica Pegula, because the problem is she's very out of form. After winning Bad Homburg, it's not really gone well for her. And the final honorable mention, someone who very nearly made the top 10, was Emma Raducanu. The 2021 champion is looking more and more like the player that won the US Open now 4 years ago. Really great match with Arina Sabalenka that happened in Cincinnati. Let's see if she can continue challenging the top, but it's a question of if with her still, and that's why she remains an honourable mention. Right, we've done 3 minutes of not the top 10, so let's actually do the top 10. First off, number 10, Naomi Osaka, the 2-time US Open champion, 2018 and 2020. Looked more like Naomi Osaka that we recognised in Canada. With the coaching change, looking a lot more confident. Still some questions after what happened in the final in Canada against Victoria Mboko, but that was a big run, and that's injected some belief into the 2-time champion, who, other than Venus Williams, is the most successful player at the US Open in the draw. So keep an eye on Osaka. She's going to be hoping for a good draw. She's finally seeded. There's going to be a lot of questions around how far exactly she can go. But second week is very realistic prospect. Number 9, Alina Svitolina. Kind of the safe choice here. She's been a consistent force on the WTA Tour this season. She's already reached 2 Grand Slam quarterfinals this season in Australia and the French. Maybe unfortunate a little bit not to make Wimbledon, but Svitolina is a player who you can trust to rack up the wins, and I think she will be doing the same at the US Open. Former quarterfinalist here, was 1 point away from making the semi-finals in 2021. Number 8, Jasmine Paolini, finalist in Cincinnati. Ignore her at your peril. She always does better than people give credit for. She's always going to try and force herself into contention in places, and she likes the North American hard courts. I think I first noticed Jasmine Paolini at the US Open. I think, again, it was 2021 or 2022, which had a really, really good match, and she didn't win it, but her fight and her determination that was the first time it was on display for me. And I think that she'll be confident enough to recreate that at this year's US Open. Number 7, maybe ranked a little bit low for some people, but I have to go with Madison Keys. She has unfinished business with the US Open. She's been unfortunate not to put herself in winning positions before. She got to the final in 2017. She was so close to making the final in 2023. She's had a really strong season, obviously, with that Australian Open title, including some solid showings across the 1000s that have happened over the last couple of weeks. I think Keys is definitely one of the biggest dark horses in the field. And even then, I don't even think she could be fully counted as a dark horse. I think she's going to want to be a factor on these US Open courts. All right, this one might be a little overranked, but I am giving much more weight to players who've won North American 1000 titles. So number 6 is Vicky Mboko, the Montreal champion, who won it in style. She beat Coco Gauff, she beat Elena Rybakina, and she beat Naomi Osaka. Mboko is now on a winning streak. Officially, she and Swiatek are going to go into the US Open unbeaten. Mboko did not play Cincinnati, which is one of the things that's holding her back. But also, there is question marks around, what can she do? Can she beat players like Sabalenka or Swiatek if it came to it in a draw? And that is a question. She's got the game for it. She's got the potential. Is her time to win the US Open now? Don't count her out. If she could win Canada, beating the field that she did, US Open is only one step away. And that is why she's number 6 on the power ranking. Number 5, fellow 18-year-old Mira Andreeva, the Indian Wells champion. And in US Open has been the kind of proving ground for younger champions. Obviously, we've had some breakthrough champions over the last few years, like Osaka, as mentioned before, Bianca Andreescu, Emma Raducanu, Iga Swiatek won it. Okay, she'd already broken through and won a slam, but this was like her big breakthrough to become the main leading player on the tour, or one of them. Coco Gauff, a couple of years ago, breakthrough, first Grand Slam. This would fit for someone like an Andreeva or an Mboko, but focusing on Andreeva, she has been performing well at the slams. Okay, quarterfinals in the last 2. Last 16 in Australia. Was unfortunate to get Sabalenka really early on in her draw. I think she's going to make at least the second week. I think she's going to be in the quarterfinals again at the US Open, or she's got a very strong potential for it. And let's face it, Indian Wells gives hope, because that's the kind of event and kind of draw that's probably the closest to the US Open you can get. And she won it. She beat Swiatek and Sabalenka. She's got the potential right now, and she's proved herself a little bit more than maybe Mboko has, which is why she's ahead on the ranking. Skip Cincinnati, which prevents her from being number 4. And speaking of number 4, this is going to surprise some people, because I've had to really jump her up the list, but I've got a good feeling about this player. Elena Rybakina is the number 4 on the power ranking. And on paper, you think, why? She's really struggled to make it past the 3rd round at the US Open. She's even not played it, more or less, or retired the last couple of instances. Here's the thing with Rybakina. She's playing better on North American hard courts than she has been before. She has been the standard to beat at all 3 North American hard court events on the WTA Tour held in the last sort of month. She reached the semi-finals in all of them. She was beaten by Leylah Fernandez in Washington. She was beaten by Mboko in Montreal, and she's beaten by Swiatek in Cincinnati. That level of consistency and support suggests that she is probably one of the best form players going into the US Open. It is that history and maybe some unclutchness that prevents her from winning titles that's holding her back from being even number 3 on this list. But I think Rybakina has to be seen as someone who is going to be a standard setter at this tournament and is one step away from doing something big. So Rybakina is number 4. Before I go to number 3, I say that obviously I think one of the cool things about this list is the top 3 are the 3 most recent US Open champions and are the 3 genuine leading contenders for it. And I think we've got a good chance of a repeat US Open champion for the first time since Osaka did it 5 years ago. Osaka seems to be probably building to one of the stories of the US Open, given how many times I have mentioned her. But they've also been sort of 3 of the stars of the year. You've got 2 of the Grand Slam winners, Swiatek and Goff. You've got Sabalenka, who's the world number 1 and the defending champion at the US Open. They are 3 of the 4 players who've won Grand Slams this season, the other being Keys, who is on this list at number 7. So let's go into it. Number 3, Coco Gauff. Let's face it, compared to the other 2 I've just mentioned, she's out of form. She seems to be getting it back a little bit. She made the Cincinnati quarterfinals, which has broken a little bit of maybe the struggles that she's had because she didn't win a match on grass and then comes back at Canada and loses to Mboka in the last 16, loses to Pauline in quarterfinals at Cincinnati. The thing is, Coco Gauff's base level is so high that it takes a lot for anyone to beat her, even when she's not playing great. And we see that time and again. She will scrap her way through matches, and I think she will still beat most of the field. Maybe, unfortunately, get Emma Navarro in her draw, given how Navarro's been someone who's proven to bother her. But she is one of the stars of the last 12 months, and she'll be carried by the crowd at the US Open, which will raise that base level even higher. So I'm expecting Coco Gauff to make, last 16 bare minimum, quarterfinals minimum. And hey, wouldn't be surprised to see in the semis or the final if the draw is kind to her and she avoids Iga Swiatek. But yeah, Gauff is going to be on this list. All right, so we know it's between 2 players for number 1 and number 2. How controversial is my number 1 pick going to be? You can decide while I talk through the number 2 pick. The defending champion, Aryna Sabalenka, is number 2 on my list. Don't care out of hard courts. She is frequently one of the players to be at these Grand Slams. She's made it minimum semi-finals at every Grand Slam since, she's played since the US Open last year. Really, more or less, the only time she didn't make the semi-finals in, the last 3 years, has been the French Open quarters that she lost to Andreeva at in 2024. She peaks at slams and she's tough to beat by pretty much anyone. You have to be on your game to stop her, and she's only been losing to players who have a history of bothering her. Defending champion, loves it in New York, and is the Miami champion. So has won a North American hardcourt title, which historically is a good sign. It's been very rare in the last few years for someone who hasn't won one of the 1000s in the North America to go on to win the US Open. She's pretty high on the list. She scored pretty highly, but she doesn't get the number 1 on the list because she was pipped to the number 1 spot after the result of Cincinnati, which was won by Iga Swiatek. She, in my opinion, is the favourite for the 2025 US Open. She won the 2022 championship, less fancied. She is the form player right now, the most informed player of the field. She's won Wimbledon, she's won Cincinnati, and, I think people are willing to overlook what happened in Canada, losing to Clara Towson. She's looking fresh. She's having fun. She's playing in the mixed doubles. She's already in the semi-finals with Casper Ruud, and she's already acclimatizing to New York pretty well. She's confident, and that means Iga Swiatek is going to be tough to beat because when she's confident, she wins. And if that's not enough, the last 2 years, the Cincinnati champion has gone on to win the US Open. Coco Gauff in 2023, Aryna Sabalenka in 2024. Will Iga Swiatek continue the trend? There you have it. The 2025 US Open WTA Power Ranking for Talking Tennis, presented by me. So to recap, from 10 to 1, here we go. Number 10, Naomi Osaka. Number 9, Elina Svitolina. Number 8, Jasmine Paolini. number
My name is Clara Towson, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
I am Francisca George, and I'm a friend of the show.
Perfect.
Hi, my name is Susan Leemans, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom. Yeah.
My name is Zainab Sammaz, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Hey guys, my name is Sasha Vickery, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Hi, my name is Lloyd Harris, and I'm a friend of the show.
Perfect.
Hi, my name is Jan Faria, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Yes.
Take one. Well done.
Hi, my name is Jasmine Paolini, and I'm a friend of the show.
Wow, Jasmine, you got it in one time.
Ready? Play.
You'd think Jake hasn't seen me in a while, but no, he actually hasn't seen me for 5 hours when we finished ATP Weekly with James. Anyway, yeah, Lloyd Harris is winning the US Open. A friend of mine texted me yesterday and said something like, I am, for some reason, in love with Lloyd Harris. And I already knew what he was going to talk about. He was going to say that Lloyd Harris is going to beat Taylor Fritz. And he picked Lloyd Harris to make the fourth round or something like that. I don't think it's happening, but, fair enough. He was right on Harris a few times. And I did pick Harris as well to make this, the main draw. I think he's the favorite over Baez. Anyway, I just watched the Nick Power rankings for the very first time. That was my first experience. I have some notes, let's just say that. Well, the hero of this story, Emma Raducanu, the hero of this stream, Nick said that she almost made the top 10. I think that was a massive stretch. I don't know where that's coming from. Surely her form has improved, but almost made the top 10 is wild. Especially as he followed it up by, or actually earlier, he said that Anisimova doesn't have any form going into this, and that's why she's not in the top 10. Anisimova is 30 times more likely to win this tournament than Emma Raducanu. Then there was also Victoria Mboko at number 6, which I think is too far. If I was doing a bracket, I think I'd have Mboko in my semis. There is a tough opener for her, but I think I like her chances against Andreeva and everything. But, it's still a first actual Grand Slam experience in terms of, being a contender and everything. I think that can really fire back at her. I don't doubt that she has the potential. But putting her at number 6 right now, I think is also not really, it's too early. And then I was surprised that Nick said at number 4, Rybakina, he started explaining himself instantly and saying how controversial it is. It's not at all. I mean, I would even say that maybe not putting her number 3 is controversial, but he was basically trying to argue that you're going to say that Rybakina isn't in great form, has been choking or something. No, I mean, I actually think that Elena is very much one of the contenders to win this tournament and one of the strongest players in here. And of course, I agree with Iga being over Arena at the moment as well. Combination of form, being very, very pressure-free on the courts, and also the fact that Arena has choked in slams this year. Lost to every champ in 3 North American tournaments. I suppose you mean Rybakina, but I mean, she lost in the semis. So at that point, you're 50% likely, right, to lose to the champ or to lose to the runner-up. But she did make 3 semis, and I think she's been excellent. So yeah, definitely, I would say that this is also one of the favorites. The only problem, I guess, draw-wise, is that Rybakina is in the same quarter as Sabalenka, right? And I think I maybe would still have Coco number 4. I mean, there's a big gap for me between the top 3 and Goff, but I would probably still have her there. Andreeva hasn't been looking like a soon-to-be Grand Slam champion. I'm sure she's going to get there eventually, but the last few months haven't been too convincing. And then what else do we have? He had Mboko number 6. He had Paolini in the top 10. I mean, I don't hate it. He had, but definitely lower down, of course, the list. Who else did he have? Svitolina he had in the top 10. I also don't hate that. She's been very consistent and can produce a run with this draw as well. Who else did he have in the top 10? I'm forgetting right now. I think there was a mention for Navarro, which I don't think she quite deserved, as in like a big problem for Coco in the draw. First she needs to get there. Right now, that's maybe more of a problem for Emma for me. So that I would say was also maybe a little surprising. But oh yeah, and he had Osaka in the top 10. I would second that. I would put her like 10-9. Yeah, I agree with that for sure. So yeah, basically Mboko way too high emo based on just like one tournament really. I mean, I know she's had a phenomenal season, but it's just a big gap to kind of mentally also keep it going at another tournament. I don't think she quite deserves the top 10 in the power rankings yet. Maybe number 10 or 9, but number 6 is too high emo. And yeah, Raducanu, the fact that she almost made the top 10, I found it very weird. And I would definitely have Anisimova in my top 10. Is Azarenka even playing today? Honestly, I'm only familiar with the men's schedule, but we are watching a women's match. Emma Raducanu. Yeah, she is playing against Inoue. Well, I guess you expect a win there. Not that I know much about Hina Inoue. I think that's her name. Anyway, we are going to be watching Emma Raducanu play Ena Shibahara. In terms of Shibahara, I mean, I'm sure you guys know her from the doubles achievements, right? Number 4 in the world. At some point, right now, I think from what I can gather from her scheduling, I haven't seen any interviews or something like that, but from what I can gather from her scheduling, she is actually focusing on the singles a bit more, with mixed success. Quarterfinals in Austin earlier this year, now qualifying here also, I think with a, is that right, by the way? Gracheva in the qualifying. I'm kind of surprised Gracheva was even in the qualifying, to be fair. I forgot that she dropped so low in the rankings, and I guess she's already back in the top 100 after Cincinnati quarters. But yeah, I had no idea that Gracheva was in the qualies. Anyway, she lost to Shibahara. Yeah, I mean, the Japanese is doing pretty okay. Number 130 in the world right now, but maybe there's a chance for her to break the top 100 sometime soon if she does indeed focus on the singles a bit more. Of course, in the doubles, she was mostly playing with Aoyama, a very famous pairing from Japan, all Japanese, Aoyama Shibahara. Pretty fun to watch. I don't really know much about her singles game, so I guess we're going to see today. We're going to learn a bit. And Raducanu, I do know that. I do know that girl. You know, she won the US Open, I think, 4 years ago. And well, she did it in style that was considered historic and will remain to be the case until somebody else does it 5 more times, which might never happen, honestly. And then obviously she was the first qualifier to win 10 matches, all in straights, I think. Okay, didn't have the toughest draw, but the way that she was fending off some of these quality players was impressive. Never really backed it up. We're still waiting on that. Lots of mess around her coaching situation, constant injuries. Maybe at some point it's going to sort of like, just I think she can become a more regular presence on the tour. Let's just say that. I don't know if win slams again. We'll see about that, but definitely a regular presence in the upper echelon of the tour, like a top 30 regular player. I think she could be that for sure. Right now, of course, she's still unseeded for the US Open, and that's why she's playing another one-seeded player here, but she will run into a seed potentially in the second round. Emma Raducanu is beginning this match, which obviously also is more or less when the entire US Open is about to begin. First couple of serves were really good, and she puts away the next shot. After the second one, after the first, it was just an unreturned delivery. Of course, she's a pretty big favorite for this clash. As I said, I don't really know much about Shibahara's singles game. Like, I know her results, of course, and I've watched her in doubles, but I don't know, maybe never in singles, or maybe there was an opportunity that I just don't remember. But yeah, will be exciting to see how she tries to deter Emma. This block return that she was playing just now, actually, this one is really good too. She's going to lose the point, I think. But that block she was playing on the third point, that was kind of like funky. She was trying to be creative with the angle. I wonder if, this is going to be part of the plan. Emma handled the next block return pretty well, though, and it's a super quick game. great hold. Honestly, really good serving, which is not always the case for Emma as well. We have, of course, a few more matches starting. 7 courts have begun their action right now. On the women's side, Parizas Diaz against Polina Kudermetova, Kessler against Linette, and Bronzetti Valentova. And for the men, we've got Karbaez Bajana Rindernesh, Menchik Jari, and Shevchenko Davidovich Fokina. It's honestly not the most exciting first slot for me, and because I'm very short on time today, or honestly probably throughout the US Open, I definitely kind of liked this window to just watch a match, talk about it, but it won't go 5 hours, I think. And the other matches, I mean, are not that I'm not that passionate about them. Maybe I will get passionate about some of these if like Menchik Jari goes deep, and everything. But we'll see. Davidovich Fokina Shevchenko, I could be passionate about that, but I mean, I just don't think Sasha has a good shot to win, so I'm not really, getting too invested. Anyway, let's see how Shibahara's first hold is going to go. The return from Raducanu is really strong here, as she is actually 5-0 in points so far. Of course, it would be a stronger message if she also broke to love rather than just holding, but let's see. Definitely trying to cut them early, the second serves from Shibahara. But now we actually have a rally, a squash shot from Emma, and Shibahara, yeah, oh wow, I mean, that's really creative. I think that she was trying to show Emma that she was going to play a slice approach and follow it up to the net. There's a lot of double strategy involved here in her singles game, I feel. But she actually played a softer drop shot off of that and just puts away the next volley. That was really nice. I think even after 6 points, I can kind of see, she does have that doubles pedigree and she's going to be bringing it to the singles court. She's not going to just kind of completely turn into a regular baseline grinder style or something like that. Definitely an interesting idea that paid off here. Raducanu once more attacking through the middle of the court, the return, but it's not quite big enough. Some good work on the angles from both players, and Raducanu is going to miss first. Don't hate what we're seeing. I think it certainly might be an intriguing match in how Shibahara will be trying to make, just basically keep Raducanu on her toes. We've seen these attempts to go pretty big on the second serve return from Raducanu. Step in, take them down the middle, but they haven't really done as much damage as you would maybe expect. In general, over the course of the qualifying, I was kind of feeling that the courts aren't super quick. The conditions aren't that fast. I don't know if in this particular matchup it changes all that much for either player. I mean, especially Raducanu can definitely do well regardless. But yeah, maybe it's not going to be as easy as Emma wants to kind of slap these returns and just get the points purely off of that. She definitely has been punished a little for overstepping and going for a bit too much while not getting maybe the biggest impact. But 2 double faults in a row from Shibahara, that's going to be troublesome for the Japanese as she is now facing her first break point. We've got this man on the screen who apparently I'm reading is the brother and coach of Anna Shibahara. Didn't know that she was coached by her brother. Obviously, doubles doesn't really get the TV presence as as singles does. So I don't think I ever, took notice of who was in the box of Aoyama Shibahara. Anyway, also another second serve. She's gotta make this one, right? Well, she does. It's a deep return from Raducanu, but this time the rally continues. Great shot from Shibahara, but she tries to play this forehand angle very sharply, misses it into the net, and it's a perfect start for the former champion. There was that one backhand cross-court that I thought was going to be brilliant for Shibahara, but it didn't really give her much. in the end, well, I suppose she was trying to convert that mini advantage by just going a bit wider, spreading the court, rushing Emma a little, but she missed it. So anyway, 2 games to love. Let's see if Raducanu can serve as well as she did as in the opening round. That would be very beneficial to her over the course of this entire tournament. That's a great return from Shibahara, and we've got her at the net now. Beautiful touch on the backhand volley. That's what we want to see from the that's what we want to see from that doubles specialist, or former doubles specialist, maybe, considering she has played some ITF tournaments this year and clearly was trying to get a bit more singles experience. I'm gonna check who Raducanu can have in the second round because I forgot. Oh yeah, Tien or Kudermetova. Tien, by the way, is not Lerner Tien, but Janis Tien, this Indonesian talent who has obviously gone through the college route, I think for Pepperdine maybe. And since turning pro, she's got a ridiculous record of like 90 something wins and maybe 10, 15 losses. Not much experience playing at this level, no doubt. But that could be a match. Raducanu Tien, I mean, that would make some headlines, I hope. Is Janis Tien going to become a bit of a next Alex Leala? I don't know. No idea if tennis in Indonesia has the same kind of, if there's the same kind of love for tennis over there. But yeah, Raducanu could play Tien or Kudermetova, and potentially in the third round, if she was going to progress, she would maybe face Rybakina, which would be, quite massive. And this is probably where I thought she was going to lose in terms of like bracket and everything. But, it would be an exciting match. But let's see. Shibahara with a very deep return at the baseline. Raducanu tries to take it on the crouch. Doesn't manage to, though. Some funky slices from the Japanese as well, but she tries to break it off and doesn't quite get the leg drive into the backhand down the line. Well, certainly this game, the serve of Raducanu has not been as effective as in that opener. She's missing quite a few as well. 30-all, second serve. Based on the returning stance of Anna Shibahara, it's pretty clear she's going to want to attack it. But it's a pretty good one from Emma. Just went for the pace, middle of the service box, as Shibahara was trying to just move around, attack it off the forehand. Definitely didn't have that much time. As you can see, it was only 11 miles per hour slower than her first serve, which I think is, just a good representation of the fact she just decided to go for pace at the middle and kind of punish that Shibahara aggressive position. And now, with a game point to go 3 to love up, Emma Raducanu, the 2021 champion. Well, no doubt Shibahara understands the assignment. She is trying to play very aggressively and take over the point early. Good width on the backhand return, and then she follows it up with the forehand cross-court, this time with no issues. Trying to play quickly, trying to play like fast-paced, and just not allow the higher baseline quality of Raducanu to maybe stand out too much. Especially as Emma is missing a lot of first serves right now. We've got Shibahara just waiting for a big return, but that big return falls into the stands. I think she almost hit a crowd member with that. Of course, it wouldn't have been a DQ or anything, or default or anything like that. I mean, it was purely accidental, but yeah, was trying to cut that second serve from Emma so early, and of course it didn't make it. So one more game point for the Brit. Takes that one nicely on the half volley, and now she's got Shibahara stretched, which does bring her the game eventually. It was another quality return from Shibahara deep through the middle of the court, but Raducanu this time went really low on her knees and got it. 3 games to love. Great start, that's for sure. Let's see. Oh my, so many comments. Yeah, two streams a day, definitely not. Don't have time for that, unfortunately. I'd love to, but I still have to earn money, I guess. I'm passionate about tennis juggernaut Sevi Korda drawing from Winston-Salem. Wow. I mean, Sebastian Korda is in the US Open draw, so you can be passionate about that. If I was a woman, would I rather be, or if I were a woman, would I rather be called Emma or Anna? Probably just Emma. It's I feel like it's a name in more languages, right? In Polish, it's also a name, whereas Anna is like very strictly Japanese, or maybe that makes you stand out a bit more. I would probably just go for Emma. I'm more used to it. In Polish, it would be Emma, though, like very much, putting some accent on both M's. We wouldn't really say Emma Raducanu, but rather Emma. Post-mortem numbers say about the new mixed doubles format. I mean, I think it was obviously successful. I said it even before the tournament that this is going to be a big success in terms of attendance, ratings, and everything. I just don't think it should be called a slam, and that's kind of like irrelevant because in terms of like the viewing numbers and the overall success of the idea, my problems with it are completely different, are just coming from another direction. So to me, it doesn't matter whether the event was successful or not. That's what I'm gonna say. Yeah, I think I already said about Emma, so the question was fine. Let's get the United game on as well. Yeah, I was just chatting to that about that with the producer before the stream began. I saw that Sheshko is once more out of the lineup, or rather is going to be subbed on. What the hell did you guys buy him for then? That's my problem. And also the goalie is really needed. I mean, Baindir, really? Oh, that's a crazy return from Raducanu here on the stretch. Shibahara is actually defending pretty well, and she's back in the point. Okay, Emma goes down the line, but not with much pace, and Shibahara will make that forehand unforced error. This is kind of quickly running away from the Japanese. 15-30 down. Jake also says that he will probably never put Emma in his US Open power rankings again. I think that's very much a possibility, and I certainly don't think that she was close to making them this year, even if generally speaking, I've been a proponent of her game over the years. I'd say there were moments when people were making some ridiculous claims, and I just didn't think they were justified. Some shadow suddenly on the US Open court. I mean, the change in the color of the broadcast was like so drastic during the point. I wonder how it was for the players. But we actually saw a pretty beautiful forehand angle of Raducanu here on the run. So she's got 15-40, 2 breakpoints. And another good return deep through the middle of the court. Shibahara is into the net. 4 games to love. Oh my. Yeah, in the short term, I don't think she is in the top 10 of power rankings now, but yeah, Peyton Stearns, great form, Ghosty, right? Ever since she had that Madrid-Rome run, Madrid and Rome, she was pretty good in, right? But after that, oh my, I mean, she's been unstoppable, especially when she played that young prospect. What is her name? Venus Williams? Yeah, I think something like that. Hi, Nurlan. How am I? Well, pretty jolly, as you can see. interestingly. Very tired. The last couple of days I've been sleeping not much, and I probably won't get much sleep today either. After the stream, I'm just gonna eat, and then it's straight to work. I mean, it's tennis work, so I will just have the US Open on in the meantime, 100%. Don't worry, I'm not missing any tennis, at least not today. But yeah, kind of tired and scared of what's going to come later. But I found a bit of a rejoice in this stream so far. So I'm sure you'll be happy to hear that, Nurlan. Raducanu loses the first point of the 5th game. Let's see if maybe Shibahara can mount up a bit of a comeback. What? That's well, I'm probably not gonna watch Happy Gilmore 2. I'm not a big fan of the original movie or Adam Sandler as a whole, but that's interesting that it addresses that issue. I'll put this on the screen just for a second, but it's funny. Oh, that's an interesting question as well from Sean. Is it more likely that a player outside the top 4 wins the ATP or the WTA US Open? Okay, so who's top 4 on the men's? Zverev and Fritz, right? And then we've got the US Open and the WTA. I think you gotta say WTA. Again, best of 5. Sinner and Alcaraz are bigger favorites than Sabalenka and Świątek. Zverev, Fritz, they're also kind of in contention, so you don't really miss out on like too many potential threats. Maybe Novak, maybe Shelton, I don't know. Whereas on the WTA, there's just a lot more kind of like talent hidden among the other spots in the rankings, I'd say. Like I don't think even like is Madison Keys even top 4, for example? I'm not really sure. Who's top 4? Świątek number 2, Goff number 3, and who's number 4 at the moment? Who am I forgetting about? This is kind of ridiculous. I mean, I should know that, but for some reason it's not coming to me. But anyway, Rybakina, for example, you're missing out on presently, right? If you just exclude it. So yeah, I think it's a pretty obvious answer that it's going to be ATP after thinking it through. But a good question to ask, no doubt. And 5 games to love. That 1 point that Shibahara won at the start of the game, unfortunately, was the max that she could do here. Yeah, it's looking tough. As I said earlier, I think she did kind of like, understand the assignment. She knew that she has to play pretty aggressively, take everything away from Emma if possible. But yeah, it's just getting very difficult right now. Andreeva is number 5. So who's number 4? Paulini? No. Really? Jasmine Paulini is number 4? No, that can't be right. Why can't I find number 4 in the draw? Am I stupid? I mean, if it's Paulini, it has to be somewhere here, right? What? I just don't see Paulini at all. I should control find it. No, Paulini. Oh, Pegula. All right. Yeah, but Pegula is not a true number 4 at the moment, right? That's because she was in. Obviously, that's because she was in the US Open final last year. But she's probably gonna lose the points right now, or at least that's what it seems like. That's where she's headed. Yeah, thank you, Alex. It's Pegula. I completely forgot about her simply because I was thinking of players who like had big runs recently. So I just have Keys, Paulini, Anisimova, but like neither of them really fit. Yeah, okay, so it's Pegula. So definitely the answer to the question is ATP, I think. Let's see if Shibahara can get her first game on the board. What else did we have here? Steaming pile of pop culture like Happy Gilmore, yeah. There are better Adam Sandler movies, though. Even if I'm not a fan of that style of comedy, there are definitely better Adam Sandler movies, I think. And I'm just sticking to comedy. Like Uncut Gems is not included in this conversation. It's obviously better, but more double faults coming from Shibahara, 15-0. What is the background of the Japanese player? Is she another from the US college system? I mean, more so her background is just being an absolutely insane doubles player. She was number 4 in the world, for example. I will tell you very soon if she has more results in terms of like, Grand Slam wins or something like that. But she does also have a college background. I'll check the school because I don't want to say something stupid. But I think she was also representing the States for a while. So basically, she's kind of like States/Japanese. Yeah, the college is UCLA. But even more so, she's known for her doubles success, which is the 2023 Australian Open final. Also, mixed doubles, she won the French. Yeah, of course, as I said earlier about her partnership with Aoyama, that's the player she made the Australian Open final with. And in mixed, she won the French with Wesley Kohlhoff. Also won 2 WTA 1000 titles, both with Aoyama, Miami, and 2023 Canada. That would be Montreal, I guess. We'll get a game. We'll get a game point now. Good angle on the backhand. Emma trying to pass with this slice, but it's going to end a bit wide. It would be good for Shibahara certainly to get this game, even if the set seems over. Just return after the break and have a bit more to look forward to. Can she do that? I think that's in. She's dictating, but Emma is defending pretty well. That slice is very dangerous. And Shibahara of the inside in forehand, perfect into the corner. That was a really good point from her. She needed to play like 5 very aggressive, very precise shots. Emma defending very, very well, but 5-1 for Raducanu. Nonetheless, she will serve for the opening set, and she also has, of course, that insurance break. Yeah, UCLA for Shibahara. I didn't even know that she was like disconnected to the States, to be honest. But yeah, a lot of the top doubles players have started from college for sure on the WTA side and ATP. So much attention is paid to doubles in college that I think it's a great way of developing for that part of your career in that way. And right now, of course, it's also very profitable in singles, it seems. Shibahara wasn't really, any better in singles that she is right now ever, and seems to be trying to get into that a bit more. And that's another really good point from her. Wow. Well, 20 minutes, 5-love. It was looking bleak, but now with this kind of, like very smart slice play, and then when she has that forehand opening, she just slaps it cross court as well. Yeah, with that kind of play, she might have a bit more to say in the second part of this encounter. Or maybe she can still fight for this set. Who knows? Anyway, 3 points away from the set now, Emma Raducanu. After the set is over, I'm probably also going to look at the results from the other matches. As I said, 7 starting right now, but at 6 p.m. my time, and so noon local time, we will also have Arthur Ashe joining the stadium. Joining the action. Of course, not actual Arthur Ashe, who is dead, but Ben Shelton and Ignacio Busa playing there, I think. Good cross-court exchange. Shibahara tries to switch to the run-around forehand and gets it into the net. Quite a strong shot from her, though, clearly. That inside-in earlier, the one she ended cross-court in this game was also kind of middle of the court rather than a typical forehand position. But now just 2 points away from the opening set, Raducanu. Would she be the first player to win a set at this US Open? Let me see. But maybe she won't yet, as it's fairly all known. Yeah, Arthur Ashe joining the stream, I don't think so. Joining the action on the court is probably not either, but a legend for sure. No, actually, Alejandro Davidovich Fokina has already won a set. And Teresa Valentova as well has already won a set. So definitely not the first player to win a set if Raducanu converts this. Wow, that's another really good half volley +1 shot from her, forced by the Shibahara deep return. but kind of falling into the traps of her own game here. Anna gets that slice from Emma and is going to miss the forehand. Again, not much leg drive on the shot. And that's set point for Raducanu after like less than 30 minutes of action. So thus far, quite comfortable. Let's see if she can close it out quickly. Could use a big serve. And it's big, but we're going to get a point at least. Net court from Shibahara. Raducanu should track it down. And she does, with Shibahara trying to come up with this inventive lob midpoint. Emma just puts it away, though, because it was really short. And it's 6-1, less than 30 minutes, I think, to Raducanu. Pretty dominant. Shibahara showed some flashes of quality later on, especially. So let's see if the second set will be any different or not. Yeah, Louis Armstrong. I mean, the trumpet, I can hear it, you know, I can see it in my mind. Just the set ends on Louis Armstrong and then he comes out, Satchmo comes out and plays the trumpet. That would be good. Unfortunately, I don't think it's possible. Yeah, I was going to say that I will tell you about the stories so far about on the US Open stage. Valentova up a set on Bronzetti, Kessler up a break on Linette, but not a set yet. There's a medical timeout mid-game in Parisa's Diaz Kudermetova. That's never good. And we also have Menchik and Jari. Jari currently has a break points to get back to 4-all, and that's exactly what he does. And yeah, Davidovich Fokina already up a set. Santana is one of my favorite guitarists. I thought you were going to say rather than tennis players. I mean, Manolo, yeah, seems like a class act when he's on the court. Why not? In the stands. But yeah, I thought you were going to make a joke about Carlos Santana. My thoughts on Tien against Djokovic. Novak will be rusty, so I give Tien at least a set. Yeah, I mean, whether he takes a set, I don't know. But it will be certainly a long match, I think. It's not the kind of opponent you want to play. You want to get in your rhythm. It's not like he doesn't give you any, but certainly has a quirky, like unusual play style that you have to beat somehow. Novak is still one of the most intelligent tennis players ever and, you know, has all the experience in the world. I think that he is going to like find a way to play Tien, but it's not going to be pretty. Lerner is 4-1 against top 10 players this year, which I think pretty nicely represents that, like, for him rankings they don't really matter. Like, for him it's all about matchups, and kind of any player on the planet he can probably make uncomfortable. We haven't really seen anyone on tour but Jari at Wimbledon just like blow him off the court this year, which is impressive because I thought it's going to happen a lot more. Of course, there are also players who like are lower than the rankings but play them smart, like, I don't know, Aidan McHugh in Champaign last year. So there are downsides to it. There are positives for sure. But I just don't think matters much generally, like who Tien is playing. He can definitely make Djokovic uncomfortable. I would expect that Novak still prevails, but it very well could be the toughest match that Novak has for the first 3 rounds. And it's not an easy opponent. Like, if you're thinking of deadly opening round draws, Novak and Carlos got 2 of them. 100%. Anyway, Shibahara back on the court now. She is serving, and it's already 15-all in her game. I think when I was switching from the comment section to the stream, I saw that her ball was kind of like bouncing from the tape and staying on her side. Well, I'm not gonna be like very, I'm not gonna say anything groundbreaking here, but she kind of needs to start this second set well, right? Just avoid any more of this like 20 minutes and 5 games, and the match is over. So, well, double faults will not help her. I wonder if at least in some way they are basically brought out by how Raducanu is returning to. Lots of good deep stuff down the middle, lots of stepping into the court, just like Shibahara is doing, of course. But yeah, there's a fair few of these so already, and they're not helping out. Gets a rally on the next point, but will miss the backhand cross court. I think it kind of bounced a little short. I mean, obviously it was fine in terms of like the bounce of the hard court surface, but it was probably a bit shorter than she was expecting, and she does get that pretty far off the court. 15-40 here. Tough moment for Shibahara, who really does not want to start this second set with a big deficit. And another second serve. Raducanu looking to attack it, obviously. Well, doesn't do much with it. Yeah, I think that's another example of Raducanu just stepping into the court and kind of cutting off her own angles maybe in some way. I mean, definitely not being able to return to the middle position. And with the backhand not being hit like super clean, not that powerful, Shibahara is very nicely taking advantage of just hitting into the open space. We've seen a few returns like that from Raducanu, which like she kind of just does too much in terms of her trying to take it aggressively, but then the actual shot is not quite as strong as she was hoping for. Overcommitting, let's say, with her movement. And Shibahara wins a pretty nice point to win, to save another break point. That last shot basically on the line. The counter punching from Raducanu was quite good, but finally the depth was too much. 40 all now. Interesting angle of the TV broadcast when we started the rally, but we're back in the regular view now, and it's Shibahara just making a pretty random forehand error into the net. Breakpoint number 3. As situation is obviously getting a little desperate for her. Got another point in play. Raducanu with the slice. I think it's gonna land right on the baseline. And does Shibahara find the backhand cross-court angle? Yes, she does. One of her better ones of the match for sure. Very similar to the position from which she missed like 3 or 4 points ago. Yeah, that slice from Raducanu just barely on the baseline. But Shibahara was able to get herself out of a sticky situation. So 3 breakpoints saved this game already, as she's kind of fighting for her life in this one. Very nice return from Raducanu, though. You'd think that she would be stretched here, first serve, pretty pacey, and she was stretched to her forehand, but it doesn't stop her from producing a very quick shot, good angle, and breakpoint number 4 coming in. Shibahara gets a short ball on the forehand, Raducanu trying to defend, and Enna is going to mishit it, so it's going to be a set and a break now. As this US Open so far is going pretty nicely. Carrasco's a really tough first round. I like that. I mean, is it though that beneficial to find the TN backhand? Like Lerner is just going to slice it all the time, right? So I don't know if it's even that beneficial to find the Lerner backhand. Typically, I don't know. Depends on what they're going to play like, because like if Lerner is backing himself to win a long point against Novak, the way he kind of like beat Medvedev, let's say in Australia, then it's definitely like it's nothing. Like the fact that he can find his backhand is irrelevant then. If this is more of a match where Novak is attacking and he gets a great first serve in and there's actually some sort of like dangerous attacking play from him, then maybe, yeah. Yeah, of course, Onana and Baindir getting some hate. Baindir and Onana, I think they're both okay, but they just make one huge error per game, right? And that's probably not allowed in football. Like it shouldn't be allowed, really. But they're both fine keepers. I mean, Onana was fantastic for Inter, plays good with his legs, right? But yeah, I mean, to just make one goal-losing error per match, I wonder what that would be like in tennis. It's like if you have a tie break and you make a double fault at the start of it, like that's the kind of deficit I think you're putting your team in if you make that. And of course, Bahindir in the opening fixture against Arsenal had that at the corner when he does, I don't even know what. Onana, I watched a compilation of Onana's last season recently, and it was like 30 minutes of constant laughter. It was unreal what the guy was doing. Just I don't know, in terms of goalkeeping technique, not shot stopping, he's pretty good at that, I suppose, but just goalkeeping technique with how he's moving, even how he's reacting to like what's in front of him. Just seems like nobody ever taught the guy. I don't want to use a swear word, but yeah, it's wild. And also the money you paid for Onana, just oh my god. Should never be near a United shirt. I mean, Onana, he was fine for Ajax and Inter. Like, I understand why he was bought. But yeah, it's also funny, I suppose, if you think about it this way, yeah, that they wanted the hair out of the club and now they take him back. He's been good, I think, in Fiorentina, right? So they basically bought somebody for massive money who turned out to be much worse. And yeah, the hair just couldn't really play with his feet, of course, but he was a really good shot stopper. 100%. Doesn't slice it all the time. No, in this particular matchup, if it's like a long baseline exchange, I think you're gonna see him slicing the backhand a lot against Novak, and if there's pressure on it, especially maybe. But I was just referencing kind of what we might get in the matchup rather than maybe what Lerner will do all the time in every single encounter. But yeah, it depends. Lerner TN matchups are difficult to analyze, so that's what makes this even more intriguing. Like, it's not a match that you're going to be tuning into and you're going to know exactly how they're going to play every point. And sometimes you have encounters like that. Like, I don't know, Menchik Jari, I'm going to watch this match for the drama, if there is any, but I know very well like how every single point will look, more or less. By the way, yeah, Davidovich Fokina is just killing Shevchenko. 6-1 for love. Brutal, but what can you do? And that mid-game MTO that I was talking about with Parisas Diaz, she did retire eventually against Polina Kudermetova. Love 30 again for Shibahara. Finds a good forehand angle here to get the error from Emma, but if the previous game on serve was desperate, this one is just even further into that direction. Kessler serving for the opening set against Linette. Still a fair few opening sets that have not finished, including that Menchik Jari match that I mentioned earlier. Would be pretty jarring if Jari won it. No, I think it's perfectly possible. Menchik has done some weird stuff in slams over the last year and a half, which is when he started playing slams, more or less. Actually, it's exactly 2 years. US Open 2023, when he played Taylor Fritz on his 18th birthday in the third round. Again, strong counter-punching from Emma. Shibahara can't really find a way through, makes an error eventually, and it's going to be 2 breakpoints for Emma, who is currently producing, well, a clinic. There's not much more you can say here. Some really good footwork from Raducanu, who survives long enough in the point for Shibahara to make that drive volley into the net. So 6-1 free love. It's a set and 2 breaks up now. Are we going to see an incredible comeback? Nothing presently suggests that. That's for sure. Maybe the situation will change. I wanted a quick match, as I said, and I think I might be getting it. Although I was expecting a little bit more action. I think. I certainly wouldn't mind, considering how much I have to do. Also, by the way, guys, there's going to be more content coming up on the channel today. We've got an Ala 1000 stream, I think, and we also have a Djokovic Tien stream at 1 a.m., I think. 1 a.m. my time, of course. It's the beginning of the evening session in New York. That's probably the match I will also try to stay up at least for a little bit, at least see a bit of it. I hear that Michael Chang is supposed to be in Lerner's box for the first time, which is also pretty fun. And what's the second men's match at night? Oh, Medvedev Bonzi. Yeah, I mean, I'm not watching that. And the women's matches in the evening session would be Ayava Paolini and Pegula Sheriff. Okay, yeah, so it's like only Djokovic Tien is that exciting, I think. It's also, I don't know if you want to talk about that, but it's the first Sunday start in the history of the US Open. Personally, I see almost no drawbacks to this. I mean, it's pretty much better for every single person involved, I would think. But I know there are contrarians to this opinion, so maybe you are one of them. But I think it's very much the future for the slams. Yeah, just split that first round into 3 days, not make it as much of a mess as usual, give the players a bit more spotlight, and give the tournament a bit more time to earn money, I guess. I mean, it's very different in regards to the Masters 1000 expansion, right? Because there you have from like 7 days or maybe 8 days, you're expanding to 12, you're expanding to 1.5 weeks. Whereas here you can kind of make this seem practically, it's not a big change really. That one extra day. It doesn't impact any of the other events other than the fact that they might have to finish on Saturday, but that's really not a big deal. So yeah, I just don't think it really influences all that much, this change of just like one extra day. Whereas in terms of the Masters, it's much, much more influential on the entire calendar. And on how the players are feeling too. Novak in the last few days, I know, has said stuff about not enjoying the ATP 1000 events right now, and that he kind of only cares about the slams, which has been the case for a long while, but anyway, I'm on a pretty high quality point here again, just outmaneuvering Shibahara in this longer baseline angles exchange. She is kind of cruising for sure. If she gets this game 6-1 for love, would be tough to see her let this go. She wasn't the first person to take a set today, and she also wouldn't be the first winner today because, of course, we've had Polina Kudermetova winning via retirement in the 5th game against Nuria Parizas Diaz earlier. But she could be the first winner of a completed match during this US Open. And it is 6-1 for love with an ace out wide. The serving has been pretty good from Emma as well. First time maybe really in this match that Raducanu is on the stretch and doesn't produce a decent shot off it. Her movement has been very good, but on this occasion I feel like she definitely could have done a lot more from this defensive position. And now maybe Shibahara can get that first game of the match. She's at the net and she's going to cover it nicely. Emma had that opening down the line, but she didn't go for it. She tried to pass cross court, and Shibahara was there with some beautiful, take back on the volley and just really neutralized that power coming from Emma's passing shot. one of the first points really where she could show that net's ability. There was one in the opening set, I guess, as well, but it was more of a stab volley of the backhand. But yeah, this one was excellent. Obviously, down the line corridor, I don't know what would have happened if Emma tries to find it, but it would have been more dangerous, more risky to go there. Another interesting point here with the first the super deep return from Raducanu, then the moon ball, then a slice, and Shibahara shows that wristy forehand again with a sharp angle for the winner. So 6-1, 4-1. It will not be a bagel in the second set. And let's see if this is a start of something more or not. For some reason, I don't have the scoreboard on right now. Oh, that's because the producer has logged out. Anyway, I think that's probably just a brief internet issue for him. So anyway, we will hopefully be back on track in a moment. What do we have here? Alex Eala, Bruno or Odegaard? Oh, yeah. Let's talk about Eala first, and then I will maybe talk about Bruno or Odegaard. Okay, so Towson is having a very good year. Have I seen any slight improvements? There's no movement at all. I don't know if I'm watching her that much, to be fair. I mean, I'm watching her at the slams. I'm watching her in some of the WTA 1000s, but like typically on a regular week, I'm probably not watching too much WTA tennis. There's definitely been matches where it's like overly exposed, like let's say when she loses to Świątek at Wimbledon, but I just don't think she was feeling well. I think she still is a player who needs to be on the front foot. Oh yeah, the producer is back. But yeah, anyway, she still is a player who needs to be on the front foot. I don't know if her movement is improving all that much. It's probably also tough after all the injuries, which, she's not entirely free of either. So my answer is I don't think so. I think it's just more a combination of, her ball striking talent and finally decent health. Decent because it hasn't been perfect, but decent. And Ala Towson, yeah, it's an interesting one for sure. It's kind of like Lerner Tien. As I said earlier, I think Ala and Tien, they play a bit similar. And you've got that like really huge power player, just coming against somebody who's going to be doing everything to try to disrupt and try to absorb it, redirect it as well down the line. Yeah, I mean, I'm not that sold on Towson definitely winning it easily. I don't think it has to be the case. Like there is potential for Ala to just make it unpleasant for her. I definitely think that's possible. In the question of Bruno and Odegaard, I think I would go for Bruno in both cases, but I also haven't watched that much Odegaard, to be fair. And I don't know, I like Bruno. He's obviously like an icon for United now. He will not be remembered that well because he is an icon. He is the biggest, the most important player in a horrible time for the club, right? So he just doesn't have a chance at competing with some other club legends because they were winning trophies and they were, actually much more meaningful, I suppose. But he is in many ways, a saving grace of United over the last few years. In general, I like the whole like Portuguese national squad recently. I remember at Euros how I had so much I knew that I wasn't going to be watching that much of the football, but if I was always saying, oh, Portugal has so many interesting players, fun to watch, and then they played this like absolutely boring football with Ronaldo looking like an 80-year-old. But it is what it is. But yeah, Bruno was definitely one of the players I was mentioning as, a guy you definitely can watch with a pleasure. 6-1, 4-1, 30-15 now. Emma lost this first point where it was actually Shibahara showing some good defense. But now she seems to be in control again. Good half volley from Emma. She is probably in control of this point. Goes for the forehand inside in, but that squash shot from Shibahara, that's a really good recovery as well. So Raducanu is going to eventually miss that, but I would classify that as a forced error. There was so much angle on that. So 30 all now. Well, if there's going to be a chance for Shibahara to get back into this, gotta go for it right now. Net court from Raducanu. It's going to give Shibahara a chance, and she's gonna move into the net. We wanna see more of that from the Japanese, that's for sure. Spotted the moment nicely. Of course, she might not actually be that used to with her, her doubles pedigree to patterns like that. But yeah, she did see that Raducanu slice was going to be slow, was going to be heavy, high. And again, with that kind of stabby backhand volley technique, she does get there. So it's going to be a breakpoint for her. Is this the first of the match? It might be. I'm not positive. Certainly one of her last chances here. So an important moment suddenly. Emma goes T with the serve. Doesn't get that much out of it. It's going to be a rally. And Shibahara misses the forehand, kind of unprompted. Well, if it is going to be an easy win for Raducanu, then maybe it would be rough to say that there are moments that Shibahara can look back on. But, well, this point certainly is. 5 unforced errors from Emma, 30 from Shibahara. I think that's a little harsh. I mean, 30 unforced errors? Has she really made that many? I mean, in any case, a lot of them is actually on Raducanu moving so well and kind of forcing these. But yeah, still, I don't think it would be 30. That's a great exchange here. Again, Shibahara tries to close in on the net after she sees that Raducanu is going to be stretched. She comes up with this pretty funky forehand drop shot. Raducanu gets there, and Shibahara still has a chance to finish it off with the backhand down the line, but she lands that into the net. So it's going to be game point Emma. Well, she had the line open for a winner there, I suppose, but it was going to be through the higher net and everything. Certainly not that easy, especially as she was still, with some running. She was still in acceleration while hitting it. 6-1, 4-1 advantage Raducanu. At this point, I mean, she knows that she's clear here today, that she is better. But now it's about, not letting this suddenly get out of her hands, which it can, of course, happen at any given point of a tennis match. Back to deuce with a good return for Shibahara. Another time we used this fancy angle, and you could see that Raducanu was stretched very wide to the forehand corner at some point, but she does get there. So it's going to be a game point for 4-1. Sorry, for 5-1, of course. Let's see this. Yeah, it's another forehand unforced error from Shibahara, so Emma does get to 6-1, 5-1. Yeah, the clouds in New York are changing the lighting drastically sometimes during the point. It's pretty funny. Do I think Bruna would still have a place in more successful sides? I mean, if you're thinking about a midfield of Paul Scholes, Ryan Giggs, and guys like that, probably not. But if you compare him to, I don't know, Park Ji-sung, Anderson, Darren Fletcher, I know these weren't mainstays, But I think they all had their seasons, right? They all had seasons when they were important for the team. Michael Carrick, oh, maybe that's a good comparison. Like, he could definitely be a Michael Carrick, right? I'm not sure he could be Keen, Geeks, or Skulls, but he could be a Michael Carrick. Like, he's so much better than Owen Hargreaves. I know that also it's tough to like kind of give him a position. You know, some of these guys I mentioned, they're more defensive midfielders. Some are more attacking. Bruno can kind of play all of that. Well, defensive strictly, maybe not, but like attacking or just like box to box, something like that. Definitely he can play that. So yeah, I think in like the most dangerous United sides ever, he probably would be more of a reserve or like an important squad player. But yeah, I mean that's still some value. I don't think I know who Kalara Setkin is. I mean, to be fair, I think Gary Neville is getting a little too much credit sometimes. Even like he was always there in that on that fullback, of course, position, and I just don't think he was as good as the rest of the team for most of these years. But yeah, O'Shea and Brown, yeah, they were kind of integral as like squad players and subs for various other guys over the years. Wes Brown, I think, was there from like even late 90s, right? I mean, neither was as good as like Stam, Ferdinand, or Vidic, but somebody has to sub in for them sometimes. Somebody has to rotate, and they were important. I mean, Gary Neville, I think it's a little overrated even. I mean, he's no Ashley Cole. Let's just say that. Anyway, Shibahara trying to get her second game on the board in the second set, and it looks like she might. It's a big serve. Takes advantage of the short ball, 40-15. Double fault into the middle of the net for the Japanese. Has had a big issue with that today, for sure. But she is going to get the game with a good serve. 6-1, 5-2 after the break. Raducanu will serve for the win. I will take just a second because I really need to pee, but I will be back for the next game.
Thanks for tuning into this watch along. While there's a break in play, here's a reminder to hit the like button, subscribe, and click that notification bell. Your support helps to keep the channel going. While we're here, you can now become a member to enjoy perks including badges for the live chat, but also bonus material such as interviews with top players from both ATP and WTA tours. The membership link is pinned in the live chat. You can also follow us on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. So whether it be serves or volleys, forehands or backhands, serve bots or drop shots, we've got you covered, whether that be via
Phil Neville, yeah, fair. Okay, yeah, in that case, sure. I don't disagree with that, Jake. Am I good at playing football? No, not really. I've never been good. Like I am generally, I like sports. I think I can do most of them at a reasonable level. Like, I don't know. There were times in school when I was still playing on some, school teams and everything. But in general, no, I'd say if you have people who are like actually like football and I don't know, you've got some random guys playing on the street, 90% of them are going to be better than me. I do have one fancy thing though. I am like pretty much entirely two-footed. Doesn't matter whether I'm shooting with my left or right, both suck. But yeah, that's the only good aspect of my football. Which I don't really, regret in any way. I also I kind of like the sport, but I think it's also quite contact heavy, if you know what I mean. Like there's a lot of fighting for the ball, lots of potential injuries coming out of that. I'd rather avoid that and stay in these individual, table tennis. I think I was made for that rather than for playing football. I don't hate it. I sometimes play with some friends, yeah. Of course, as a kid, there was a big dream of becoming a footballer. I mean, I think everybody in Poland has that, but it ended quickly for me. It ended after like 2 weeks of practicing for the local team. Not because they wanted me out. I think they kept everybody in at that point. I just didn't like training, to be honest. I only liked playing. Wasn't the right fit for me, I suppose. Anyway, just 2 points away from the match. Emma Raducanu. I don't know how good she is at football, but she is pretty good at tennis, and especially today. That's a crazy return from Shibahara, though, right? Oh, actually, no, she misses that. Oh, never mind then. I thought she landed it. It was super deep. Anyway, 3 match points for Raducanu then. Just over an hour on the clock. Can she be the first completed match winner of the 2025 US Open main draw? Gonna have to do it on the second serve. At least on this point, of course. Throws in the kicker. Goes backhand through the middle. Pretty deep here. Again, when stretched, she is playing really, really well. And that once more just, makes Shibahara come up with an error. So, after 1 hour and 1 or 2 minutes, we've got Emma Raducanu as our first completed match winner of the 2025 US Open. Earlier, of course, Nuria Parizas Diaz retired in the 5th game against Polina Kudermetova. In terms of Emma, 6-1, 6-2, I mean, couldn't really be any better. She served well, she moved extremely well. To when Shibahara was trying to use all these funky doubles related strats, and also go for a big forehand every now and then. I think that it was crucial that Emma was playing so well out of position. Was this the most difficult opening round draw for her? Definitely not. But it's a start that I don't think you can criticize for anything. She's basically, she played a very good match, and next is going to be a tougher challenge, regardless if it's Kudermetova or the sensational and quickly rising Janice Tien. Potentially later in the third round, Emma would play Rybakina. Not that this match against Shibahara is a massive, indicator of anything, but it's definitely also a very positive sign that, she's there, she's going to bring the level, and then we're going to see what exactly it kind of counts for. Obviously, as I already mentioned, that second round is going to be a more difficult challenge for her, I believe. What else do we have here? Not much, to be fair. Shibahara only 5 double faults, but it kind of felt like it was 10. Some of them were extremely crucial and coming in unfortunate moments. Well, 5 at least according to Google. Maybe it was more. Emma returning pretty aggressively as well, stepping into the court. Shibahara tried to do the same, but just didn't quite have the range that the Brit had. Not much more to add. I mean, it was obviously a very short match. But don't worry, guys. You're getting a lot of content on the channel today because we already had ATP Weekly in the morning with me and James. Soon enough, we're also going to have a stream from Towson playing Eala. And also later on, we're going to have a stream from Djokovic Tien. Not Janice Tien, whom I just mentioned, but Lerner Tien. Anyway, Lerner the name, talking tennis. I cannot answer that question, Jake. So maybe if the producer can, because I just don't know. I believe Silky will be on the stream at night because he can only do midnight and above. So I think he is on the stream at night. I don't know who's on the Eala Thousands stream. I would assume, with Eala, there is a chance that it could be a certain Asian talent of talking tennis, but I'm only guessing there. But I know Silky will be there for the Djokovic Tien stream. Anyway, thank you. Great performance from Emma Raducanu. Also wasn't challenged that much. But for now, that's all you want, right? Just an hour and she gets into the second round. She plays very well. She moves very well. She's clearly ready for it. She's physically fit. best performance at the US Open since 2021. Haha, right? I mean, that's not much of a conversation. King Kenny with a great win. He played Seku Bangura, right? I mean, Keen, you are very, very prone to calling wins great when they aren't. But on clay at this stage of his career, I guess I'll take it. But he played Seku Bangura. I'll give you Travaria. We talked about this earlier. I'll give you that. But like Maloney, Ilagan, and especially Bangura, I don't know if I can call them great wins. Anyway, you're right on time because we are wrapping up the stream. So thank you to everybody who showed up today. It was fun talking to you about this. And enjoy the 2 streams later. Tauson Ayala and then Djokovic Tien. See ya.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.